Thank you to Chair Bajareno for being here as the Nevada and Arizona Democratic parties underscore the serious threats that Donald Trump and the MAGA extremists like Sam Brown pose to reproductive freedom. For those of you that don't know me, I am Danielle Monroe Moreno, and I'm the chair of the Nevada State Democratic Party. I'm a mother of 5. My husband Gary and I, we have 2 sons, 3 daughters, and we are grandparents to 7 beautiful grandchildren. I know the stakes that we have this election. It couldn't be any higher. We are living in a time when my daughters and my granddaughters have fewer rights than I had at their age. And that's because Donald Trump and the 3 Supreme Court justices that he appointed ripped away a woman's right to make decisions about her own damn body. And as MAGA extremist friends running for Congress, Drew Johnson, Mark Robertson, and John Lee, would only further Trump's out-of-touch agenda and abortion bans nationwide. A woman's decision to start a family is the biggest economic decision that she will make over the course of her lifetime. And she should be able to make that decision herself with the help of her family and her doctor. If we elect the MAGA extremists like Donald Trump and Sam Brown in Nevada, make no mistake, they will make good on their word and implement a dangerous national abortion ban. Sam Brown has repeatedly supported abortion bans with no excuses for rape or incest, including an extreme abortion ban in Texas that was considered to be one of the toughest restrictions in the country. Last legislative session, Democrats passed a law to make Nevada a safe haven for out-of-state patients seeking abortion and for those physicians who provide that care. While it passed, Republicans fought against it at every step of the way. We are also seeing a concentrated effort by those who wish to strip away women's reproductive freedoms and chip away at all of our rights, piece by piece. First, Arizona Republicans enacted a 15-week abortion ban. Then we saw Arizona Supreme Court use a law that was in effect before Arizona was even a state to ban abortion. And sadly, we watched Arizona Republicans stand by it. Bans like the one in Arizona, championed by Kari Lake, have overwhelmed Nevada's healthcare system. And out-of-state patients seeking abortion care, reproductive health care, have increased by 30% since the Dobbs decision. So make no mistake, if Republicans in Nevada were in control, we'd be facing similar issues here. And Republicans, state legislators, provided that when they proved that, when every single one of them voted against IVF protections and abortion rights. It's important for us to remember that what happens to women in Arizona affects women in Nevada. And injustice towards women anywhere is a threat to women's justice everywhere. So women in Nevada and Arizona are on the front lines, the first line of defense in the fight for reproductive freedoms across America. We have a choice this election cycle, and that's to continue to protect women's bodily autonomy, or we can roll back the clock on fundamental rights that we've earned and we've expanded. We will not stand by while Donald Trump tries to take us back to whatever America was in his definition as great. If given the chance, Donald Trump would strip away reproductive freedom for thousands of Nevadan and Arizonans. We are united behind President Biden, and we must elect Democrats up and down the ballot to preserve our rights. We must reelect Jackie Rosen and send our entire Democratic congressional delegation back to Washington. I've said it before, and I'll continue saying it. All roads to the White House lead through Nevada, and all avenues to a Democratic majority in Congress start with the reelection of Jackie Rosen, Congresswoman Titus, Congressman Horsford, and Congresswoman Lee. I thank you all for being here, and I'd like to pass it over to Jackie, who is a healthcare activist. Jackie, are you there?
Yes, thank you so much. Can you all hear me? Perfect. I see some head nods. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Again, my name is Jackie Veron. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I'm a healthcare and specifically a reproductive justice advocate in Nevada, hailing from Sparks, Nevada. Although I live in Reno, right next door, but we're all Nevadans here, so we know that. Well, actually, we're also inviting our Arizona friends, but I live in Northern Nevada. And it's a different perspective, I think, that is helpful to bring in the conversation as we talk about and as we approach the anniversary of the Dobbs decision on Monday that overturned the historic 1973 Roe versus Wade Supreme Court case. To backtrack a little bit, I know folks know this, but it's always helpful to level set where Roe was the floor. It gave folks protection, federal protections to be able to get an abortion, and access an abortion in a legal manner. However, that doesn't always mean, and that didn't mean that everybody and anybody could access an abortion. We still, we know, and we still know, and we're really feeling it now, that access to abortion care is extremely difficult to get, depending on what you look like, your race, your ethnicity, your socioeconomic status, and where you live in across the country. And nothing has really detailed that as much as the fall of Roe because of the Dobbs decision that came out 2 years ago. I happened to be in Washington, D.C. for a team retreat when the leak happened in May of 2022. And I just remember sitting at dinner and the reports were coming out that there was a leak in the Supreme Court decision of Dobbs that Roe was going to be overturned. And there was a moment that I was absolutely, I felt like I was in both a nightmare, but also not real. And then after taking a few breaths and looking around at my team, I remember thinking, this is going to devastate people across the country. This is going to impact young people, people of color, folks who look like myself and my family and my community, queer people, people who are able to get pregnant regardless of gender. And I think that's something that hit me when I was walking. I just remember mindlessly walking through the steps of the Supreme Court 2 years ago to be with other fellow reproductive rights and justice advocates, telling the Supreme Court that this cannot stand. Obviously, they made their decision, and that was because of Donald Trump's ability to add Supreme Court justices who do not reflect the American population, which is overwhelmingly supportive of abortion access and of Roe. Almost 8 in 10 Americans support access to abortion in all or most cases, and that's just not the case of the justices that are there. So now that, again, seeing the devastation that we've seen in 2 years, Nevada is a safe haven, but we have been seeing an influx as someone who works with supporting folks getting access to an abortion in our great state. We've seen an influx of folks from Utah, Texas, and of course our neighbors down south in Arizona, folks who can't afford abortion care that often starts at $600, at least it does in Nevada, let alone taking time off work, finding childcare for their families, airfare, gas, food, hotel, all of those really add up. And so that's the reality of folks who have been coming into our state because they are denied access to care in their home state. And that should not be the reality. Everybody, regardless of where you live, who you are, what you look like, should be able to access quality healthcare. And so I'm very much looking forward to reelecting the people who have always been on the right side of justice, which is ensuring that abortion access and access to bodily autonomy remains, not just in Nevada, but across the country for all of our fellow communities. That I will pass it over to Dr. Ellen Harried, who I believe should be on.
Yes, thank you so much for those remarks. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Harriet, and I am thrilled to be here, though I obviously wish it was under other circumstances. I do want to thank the chairs from Arizona and Nevada for hosting the press call, and for Planned Parenthood advocate Jackie Duran. That is a very important point of view that I can also shadow. I had similar feelings when I heard the fall of Dobbs, both surprise and not surprise. In the family planning community, we've talked about that reality for the last year, and people said, oh, you're being extreme. That would never happen here. We have that protection. But we saw it happen, and we can see those things continue to degrade as we move down the line, especially if we allow Republicans to come in to majority in Arizona and nationally. And that's my fear as an OBGYN. I'm a full spectrum OB. I take care of patients that are teens, middle of life, older folks, through OBGYN conditions from birth control, pregnancy, abortion care, hysterectomy needs, surgery. And my patients are scared. They don't know what's happening. I will say there's a lot of misinformation that's out there because of the back and forth, here in Arizona with the 1864, as well as with the fall of Dobbs. I've had lots of patients walk in my clinic and go, can I even get a tubal ligation? Will I be able to have contraception next year? Should I be making reproductive decisions in anticipation of the government? Which is such a wild thought. Those conversations should be things that I discuss with the patient based on their family values and where they are in their life and what they need, not based on the government. And if we elect Donald Trump and these Republican folks in Arizona specifically, I fear that I'm not going to be able to provide that care as an OBGYN next year. We already saw this huge swing this spring and this summer with the back and forth with the 1864. And my partners and I every day, we don't know if we can staff our clinic. We don't know if we can care for patients, one day or 1 week to the next. So it creates a lot of confusion for providers, for patients, for folks in the community. And that's where I find as a provider, it's so important to be vocal and to be making sure I'm getting out in the community and doing these things so that I can help support my patients in all aspects of reproductive care and otherwise. I think we've hit on a lot of my pieces. We know that these abortion bans that are being touted and on the line, they don't protect my patients in any way. They make things far more unsafe. I hear from my emergency medicine colleagues when I'm doing consults in the hospital, they don't know what's okay and what's not. Can they care for ectopics? Can I care for an inevitable demise, a missed abortion, a spontaneous abortion? Can people get abortion care? These are questions that I'm answering every single day. And so we know the safest thing is to allow for uninhibited abortion care because every situation is unique and needs to be discussed with myself as well as the patient. I apologize. I have a 4-week-old that's needing to nurse. And so these conversations should lie in my office and not at the governmental level. So thank you guys for everything that you're doing to help ensure that my patients have access to care and that I can continue doing what I've been trained to do. I'm going to go ahead and pass it to the Arizona chair.
Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank Jackie Duran, an abortion advocate from Planned Parenthood, and Dr. Ellen Harried, reproductive healthcare doctor here in Arizona, for joining us today to underscore the real health emergency that our states have been in since the Dobbs decision. I also want to thank my friend, Nevada Democratic Party Chair Danielle Monroe Moreno, for her leadership and for hosting this press call with us. Like Nevada, Arizona is a battleground state in the fight for reproductive rights. We decided to come together today, not only because extreme Arizona abortion bans are affecting the level of care states like Nevada can provide, but because our states are critically important in the national battle against Donald Trump and his extreme anti-abortion agenda. Arizona and Nevada are the states in the West that are going to deliver Joe Biden to the White House and keep our Senate majority. And recent weeks have demonstrated that Democrats are the last safeguard to our right to IVF and contraceptives. There's no state that better understands MAGA Republicans' relentless attacks on our rights than Arizona. Since the Dobbs decision, Arizona Republicans have been relentless in their mission of banning abortion and coming for Arizonans' reproductive rights. First, it was the 15-week abortion ban with no exceptions for rape or incest. And then just a few months ago, our Arizona Supreme Court put in place an abortion ban from 1864, a ban that existed before Arizona was even a state, before women had the right to vote, and when the legal age of consent was 10 years old. These bans leave little choice for Arizonans in need of care, forcing them to travel to neighboring states like Nevada. Upon the 1864 ruling, California Governor Gavin Newsom even signed a bill allowing Arizona doctors to perform abortions in California. And now Arizonans will have to travel 250 miles in order to get the basic health care they need. And even then, Arizona Republicans stalled, fundraised, and lied to voters about their abortion stances for 22 days before Arizona Democrats delivered a repeal of the ban. The same way Donald Trump celebrated the overturning of Roe, so did our Arizona Republicans. And in Congress, David Schweikert co-sponsored the Life at Conception Act, legislation that bans abortion nationwide and strips away access to IVF 6 times. And before Juan Ciscomani ever ran for office, he worked for the Governor Ducey administration, and has bragged about packing the Arizona Supreme Court that gave us the 1864 abortion ban. MAGA extremists like Kari Lake and Sam Brown have made it clear that with the Republican-controlled Senate, they would support Donald Trump's out-of-touch agenda and ban abortion nationwide. Kari Lake said Roe versus Wade was unconstitutional, celebrated the Dobbs decision, said she was thrilled about the 1864 ban on abortion coming back, and then called for sheriffs to enforce it. Kari Lake even said abortion isn't healthcare and not a medical choice that someone gets to make. Make no mistake, Arizonans right now are bracing to live under one of the most extreme bans in the country. Arizona has a choice this November to stand up against Republican extremism that we have witnessed after the Dobbs decision and protect not only our rights, but the rights of women across the country. We are ready to send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris back to the White House, regain control of the U.S. House by rejecting Juan Ciscomani and David Schweikert's extremism, and once again, secure our majority in the Senate.